In the council chamber, testing, testing.
Very close to the.
Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Yeah, that
We'll
was
see.
Test, test, test.
Keep wanting to.
Does this work for our Teams feed?
I don't think he's interested, but eventually he will be.
Yeah, you never know.
It's all about money.
That's exactly right.
There we go. Thank you.
Okay. Got 3 minutes to read this.
Hello? Testing 1, 2, 3.
I can hear you.
Yeah? Do you need me to test? Yeah.
Be ready.
So I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you all this afternoon. We're pleased to have those of you that are joining us in person and those of you that are joining remotely via our YouTube channel. Welcome to Chat with the City Manager with Armando Villa, who's here next to me. And then joining Armando today for the presentation will be Cheryl Kitzero. She's our Director of Community Services. She's joining us remotely, and we'll be talking about new development coming into the city. Before we get started, though, I'd like to have our executive team that's also here. They'll be available to answer questions at the conclusion of today's presentation. Take a moment to introduce themselves.
Good evening, Gina Gonzalez, Economic Development Director for the City of Menifee. Big fancy word for, I really work hard to encourage business growth, expansion, and development within the city.
Good evening, Nick Fiddler, Public Works Director. Just a little background on the Public Works Department. We oversee 3 different divisions. The Capital Improvement Program, which we had the Capital Improvement Program workshop last week, and then our land development engineering section, which oversees all development within the city limits, including commercial, residential, and industrial. And then also our just drew a blank. Our Maintenance Operations Center, which is out there in Sun City on Bradley, that they're responsible for all the maintenance efforts within the streets, public right-of-way, storm drains, traffic signals, signs, markings, stripings, and pavement. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jonathan Nix. I'm the Community Services Director. And what Community Services is it's parks, recreation. Also, we oversee all the city facilities, all the maintenance facilities. So I work with Nick on maintenance needs as well. And we also oversee waste management. So if you have any service issues with your waste services or recycling, you can give us a call about that as well.
Good evening, Lonnie Olson, Fire Chief, overseeing the fire operations, emergency medical services, as well as the Office of the Fire Marshal.
Hi, my name's Stephanie Rosine. I'm the acting city clerk. City clerk's department is there as a support department, helping all the other departments in the city and helping managing elections with compliance and citywide records and helping in transparency.
Hi, I'm Rochelle Clayton, Assistant City Manager, and I oversee the departments of City Clerk and Community Services, as well as Finance, and act as the Director of Human Resources and Risk Management.
For all things financial, AR, AP, budgets, grants, debt management, cash and investments. Thank you.
So we're happy to have everyone today. As I'd mentioned, we will have time at the conclusion of today's presentation for questions and answers. Those that are joining via YouTube will be able to pose questions in the comment section, so we certainly would encourage you to do that. And before I turn the time over to our city manager and Cheryl, I just would like to give a special thank you to the staff that make this afternoon possible. We have Brianna Barunda and Mandy Stevens and Phil Southard in our communications division in the city executive office, and then Jonathan Oaxaca, who does all of the IT components. So a thank you to all of them. We've also got a number of support staff that have joined us today and will be available to address questions as well. So welcome, and with that, I'm going to turn the time over to Armando Villa.
Thank you, Rebecca. Can you all hear me? All right. I think we forgot to introduce Cheryl. She's joining us virtually today. Cheryl, you want to say a couple words before you start? She's going to be the main presenter today, but go ahead, Cheryl.
Good evening, everyone. Cheryl Kitzrow. I am the Director of Community Development here at the city. I oversee planning and building and safety.
Thank you, Cheryl. So as you can see, we have a very robust team of executives. Mostly are directors of their own department, and they run their own department with their city staff. It really takes this many people to run a dynamic city such as Menifee. We are, as you know, over 100,000 people in population. If you recall, many of you recall, when we first became a city, we were just under 70,000. So now we are probably going to surpass 110,000 here pretty soon. And you'll hear about all the projects that are going to contribute to the growth in the city. As a reminder, the chats with the city manager concept is not necessarily for me to talk to you, but for you to have an opportunity to meet with all the city staff that work here to support all the services that the city provides, from public safety, fire, to development engineering, the people that fix our streets, our potholes, the people that approve plans before they go out and get constructed. And it's an opportunity for you to ask us a lot of the questions. I know many of you have a lot of questions. Not all of you do this for a living, so it is our job to make sure that we explain how things are done, especially, like I said, for a very dynamic city. And we're trying to build a high-performance organization here in Menifee. And as you can see, we have a very good team. Not many people know, but I think a lot of you know me as the city manager. But before I was a city manager, I was a city planner. My background early in my career was in urban and regional planning. I did work for a couple of neighboring cities as their city planner, cities to the south and to the west of us. And for the last 7 years, I've been a city manager for the city and for other cities. But that combination of experience working for other cities in the region and also experience in management has allowed me to really tackle all the challenges that this city is having and will have in the future. As you know, primarily this city is growing very fast, and we need to make sure that we have a good handle on growth to be able to balance the timing of a lot of the infrastructure that's needed to support it, the mitigation, streets, parks, and the timing of construction of overpasses, freeway interchanges, and then the maintenance of all the roads that are here to support the traffic. As I said before, a lot of our problems in the city deal with having to deal with the impacts of growth, but at the same time having to deal with the impacts of growth from surrounding communities coming through our city to get to somewhere else. So that's another focal point of our planning here at the city, to make sure that we're coordinating with neighboring cities and neighboring jurisdictions, the county, the city of Murrieta, Paris, Lake Elsinore, to make sure that when they do plan projects in their city, that those projects also mitigate the impacts here in our city. And the same thing we do, we extend that to other cities, that when we're building projects in our city, we also meet with neighboring cities to make sure that our projects are mitigating their impacts on their city as well. So we do have a very good team, and I like to think that we have a very good handle on how we're growing. And we have put together a program today to illustrate to you just how fast and how much our city is growing. And a lot of what you see out there today was basically planned and built last year, but it was being planned several years ago. A lot of the things that we have in our planning department and our engineering department that are being plan checked and reviewed are going to be things that are going to be built over the next year, 2 years, 3 years. So we have a very, very interesting presentation for you so that you can see what's coming in the future. And next year, the following year, we like to think that we have a pretty balanced package of growth in the city. I know a lot of you are seeing a lot of residential development right now, but in the future, you will see commercial growth and you will see industrial growth. And those things are necessary to be able to keep our city balanced. We need residents to be able to have places to go and eat and shop, but we also need residents to be able to have places to go work. So they don't have to travel 2 hours to go to San Diego to go to work. Many of you know that about 80% of our residents, most of them have to travel more than 50 minutes to get to work because they work in San Diego and they work in other jurisdictions. We're working really hard. Our Economic Development Department is working really hard to work with those industries that are going to bring jobs here to the city of Menifee. We're one of the few cities that have a jobs blueprint and that have gotten an economic development grant to be able to put together an economic development strategy so that we can grow jobs and more wealth into our community. So you're going to see when Cheryl presents all these projects, a lot of those initiatives that we started 3 years ago to be able to entice development to come here to balance our growth, they are now starting to put plans in place, submit plans to our planning department so they can get built over the next couple of years. So having said that, at this point, I'd like to yield this time to our Community Development Director, Cheryl Kitsero, so she can give us a presentation of all those projects that we have in the works. Cheryl, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Armando. It is my pleasure to give this presentation this evening to all of you there in the room and all of you virtually as I am. I wanted to go ahead and start with a little bit of framework on the Community Development Department. So if we can start with the next slide, please. Thank you. So as I mentioned, the Community Development Department includes the Planning Department and the Building and Safety Department. And everything that your team does here at the city is based on the foundation of plans that have been adopted by the City Council. And for community development, that ultimate plan is the general plan that is implemented by the zoning code. The department also reviews new development to make sure that it's in compliance with those plans and make sure that it meets state requirements such as the California Environmental Quality Act. The building department reviews plans and issues permits for all new construction and improvements to existing buildings. And then the community development department also includes community development block grants and housing programs. And those are managing federal funds to provide grant programs for our residents here in the city. Next slide. So for the department, Armando laid the stage very well. We use those plans to create places in our city where people want to be. We balance land uses and types of development such as residential, commercial, and industrial to ensure that we have a sustainable local economy. We review commercial projects that are brought by our development partners to ensure that we have thoughtful commercial centers with outdoor spaces such as the one you see here in the picture. And overall, our mission is to create a healthy, vibrant, and connected community here in the city of Menifee. Next slide, please. So I mentioned the general plan. This is a document that includes long-term goals, policies, and sets the vision and values for how Menifee will grow in the future. This document was adopted in 2013 and covers topics such as land use, circulation, how our roads will be planned and connected, housing, making sure that we have a variety of different types of housing options here in the city, open space, balancing that development with ensuring we have appropriate amenities such as our parks and trails, economic development. Armando mentioned that. We work very hard to attract new businesses to our community to create amenities for our residents, places where people can work, play, and live. And then community design policies to bring it all together when we're looking at new development projects to make sure that they are designed appropriately. Next slide, please. The zoning code and zoning map implements those policies at the high level the general plan sets and tells us where you could build certain things and how those new things that you're building can be constructed. So where residential development can be built, where commercial development can be built, how tall the buildings can be, how many parking spaces. So really this guides our new development projects when they're submitted to the city. Next slide, please. I wanted to share this slide to give an overview before I dive into a virtual tour of some of the new projects in the city to provide a life cycle of a project. A lot of people forget that it takes a long time to get from a submittal with the community development department to opening a new business. Our department takes the lead on new development proposals, but we work very closely with property owners, developers, and then our internal and external partners to review these projects. Engineering looks at all projects, building and safety, our fire marshal's office looks at all new projects, and then we work with outside agencies as need be. So when a developer comes to the city with an idea, we're checking that general plan and zoning to make sure that that project type works on that piece of property. And then we're going through and making sure that it's designed appropriately, has those amenities, and meets the codes required. And then we see that project all the way through from that initial concept plan to that grand opening ribbon cutting. Next slide, please. So we'll start with residential development because that residential development, as Armando explained, is that foundation for then bringing in the commercial and industrial development. A lot of the development we're seeing being constructed today were projects that were approved even before the city incorporated and were approved by the County of Riverside. We currently have 900 residential units under active construction within 25 different residential communities throughout the city, and 4 more communities are currently in the plan review phase with our building and safety division. There are an additional 7,800 units approved for construction, and generally we see about 1,200 units a year being constructed. So in the next 2 years, we anticipate 2,500 additional residential units to come online. We did do a demographic study by Dorego, and that study projected a 9% increase in the next 2 years. Next slide, please. So I'm going to take you through a virtual tour of some of the projects in the city. The first one we'll talk about is the Cimarron Ridge Master Plan. This project is approved. It is located in the northwest area of the city, just south of McLaughlin Road, with Getz Road being the western boundary of this project. It will include over 750 units and also incorporate open space and a 10-acre park. As part of this project, the developer will construct the Valley Boulevard extension and realign Getz Road to connect to Valley Boulevard in this project area. They are currently working on their plans for construction. Next slide, please. Moving a little bit south and to the east of the 215 and north of McCall along Encanto Drive and Rouse Road is the Legato Master Plan community. This community incorporates residential and commercial along the Encanto Drive frontage. It will include over 1,000 homes and a neighborhood park connected by a large paseo of trails throughout the community, as well as a large community park south of Chambers Avenue. Next slide, please. The Legato community will be moving dirt and under construction in the next couple of weeks. Moving further east to the city's eastern boundary along Briggs Road and south of Old Newport Road is the Rockport Ranch Master Plan. This is a proposed gated community that was approved in 2020. It includes different types of housing units, including some motor courts and detached single-family homes. And this also includes a network of open space, recreational trails, and several lakes throughout the community. Next slide, please. Here we have a multifamily project. This Del Oro Apartments project actually includes 237 market rate apartments in addition to over 100 senior living apartments. It is located at Holland and Hanover. There are also amenities including pool facilities and recreational buildings associated with this multifamily project adjacent to MSJC. Next slide, please. The next project I wanted to share with you is a mixed-use project located at Normandy and Berea Roads, just behind the park there. This includes a 3-story office building, over 200 apartment units, and a daycare facility. So this mixed-use project is something that we were excited to see because it provides living, working, and that daycare facility all in one project. This project is going through final engineering. We are reviewing the building plans right now, and the developer has identified users for both the office building and the daycare. Next slide, please. Now, earlier I mentioned, and as did Armando, that one of the overall goals of the city is to ensure we have a sustainable local economy. As part of that is looking at new commercial development. We do have lots of commercial and industrial activity occurring in the city. We have over 190 active development projects, including 1.8 million square feet of commercial and 13 million square feet of industrial in review in the pipeline with the Community Development Department. So I'll walk through several of those projects for us tonight. Next slide, please. So a couple projects that have been previously approved by the city. The first one is the Mock Country Plaza. This is located at Palomar and Highway 74. It's the location of the, we currently have the railroad car on that corner. That will be relocated to another location on that project site. And this center will include a gas and convenience center on that corner. The next project that's approved that is currently in building plan check is Newport Point, located at Newport and Evans Road. It is a commercial center. Some of the users that have already been announced is a grocery outlet, the Learning Experience, and EOS Fitness. That project should be under construction later this year. Next slide, please. These two projects here on deck, the project on the left is located at the northwest corner of Trumbull and Highway 74 in the northern part of the city. The project includes a hotel, a sit-down restaurant, a drive-through restaurant, and a gas station on that corner. And the project on the right is a Montessori preschool that is located on Winterhawk, just south of Newport Road. And that project is going through final engineering design work as well. Next slide, please. The next section of projects are projects that are under construction. I did want to share about the Krikorian Entertainment Complex located at Newport and Town Center. The movie industry was one of the hardest industries hit by the pandemic, which brought this project to a slowdown during the pandemic. It made the impacts of the pandemic made the banking industry nervous, movie production halted, and that project stopped construction. However, I'm here to tell you tonight that we do see the light at the end of the tunnel. Things are looking good with new film production, and the banking industry is looking at the theater industry in a better light. This is a private project. The city has been working with the developer to understand the challenges and look for opportunities to move the project forward. And the developer is currently updating some plans so that we can jumpstart the commercial portion of the project at the corner of Newport and Town Center Drive. Next slide, please. So this project under construction is located at McCall and Menifee. This will be a great amenity for the community out on the east side of town. It does include a major grocer that we hope to be able to announce soon, some shops, a pharmacy, 7-Eleven convenience store, restaurant, and a drive-through, and a self-storage facility located at the rear of the project site. Next slide, please. Couple of projects that are currently processing with the Community Development Department. Black Bear Diner announced they will be going into the former Coco's location at McCall and Bradley. We're working with them on their improvement plans. And then there is a new O'Reilly's proposed just south of Newport and Menifee Roads on the southwest corner. That is working through our entitlement process as well. Next slide, please. That concludes the commercial projects. Now I'd like to focus on the industrial projects. We've seen a lot of interest in bringing new businesses here, industrial manufacturing businesses to the community. The city's general plan did anticipate the large e-commerce facilities in the northern area of the city along the Ethernet corridor. So I'm going to walk through a couple of projects, industrial projects. The first one actually is located on Hahn Road, just north of Scott. It includes a variety of buildings. There are 5 buildings in the Freedom Business Park, office buildings, and some manufacturing, smaller buildings for new startups. The Menifee Commerce Center is located in the northern part of the city at Dawson and Sherman Roads. That one is moving through the process with planning right now. Next slide, please. These 3 projects are all located in that northern area along the south side of Ethernet Road, where we're seeing a lot of that e-commerce and large industrial project proposals. The capstone proposal is a 700,000 square foot light industrial building at Cuffle and Wheat Street. The Panettone project includes 2 large buildings over 1 million square feet each. And then the Phelon development project includes 2 buildings, each about 125,000 square feet, located at Barnett and Ethernac Roads. As these projects move through the development stages, they will be presented to the Planning Commission at public hearing for project review. Next slide, please. Just a couple more industrial projects currently processing with the city. United Carports is looking at putting one of their facilities here at Mapes and Trumbull. There is a industrial building proposed at Sherman and Mapes. That one is about $275,000. And then we do have another business park proposed in that northern area of the city at Wheat and Ethernac. That includes 3 different buildings, totaling about 300,000 square feet. Next slide, please. So this is one of my favorite slides. It gives us a snapshot of all of the investments being made here in Menifee, including newly opened projects and coming soon businesses. The Centerpoint project located on Newport Road in Calle Tomas opened earlier this year, late last year, including Olive Garden, Sprouts, Wendy's, Tacos and Tequila, and Luna Grill are doing tenant improvements right now, as well as Urbane Cafe. Those will be great additions. We talked about, I'm sorry, in the McCall Plaza at McCall and Sherman, the Arco Station recently opened, and Los Gilbertos Mexican food also recently opened. Newport Town Square at Newport and Hahn. We're currently processing commercial plans for that location. We talked about Black Bear Diner going at the Bradley Plaza at McCall and Bradley. We have new restaurants and businesses opening soon in Cherry Hills Plaza. Melody Thai, Joyful Noise Coffee is open. The bakery and Korean barbecue coming soon. Countryside Marketplace, Crumble Cookie has opened, and Burlington and Better Buzz Coffee Roasters is coming soon. RV Supercenter recently opened at McLaughlin and Encanto. Mercado del Sol at Antelope and Newport Road, that property owner is doing some facade improvements and investments in that center. We have Savage Chef Bar and Grill and Michi Tacos in construction there, opening later this year. Menifee Plaza is open at Town Center and Newport Road. That's the center with Dave's Hot Chicken and Chronic Tacos. Taco Bell has opened at the Shops at Scott. We also are very proud of our Menifee Public Library that is now open at La Piedra and Menifee Road, and the football stadium and kinesiology buildings currently under construction at Mount San Jacinto College. In our town center, the Menifee Justice Center is under construction. That will be a family and civil courthouse. And then Active Ride Shop is back at Town Center Marketplace. We talked about McCall Square at McCall and Menifee Roads. We talked about Newport Point, and then we also have our outdoor markets, our farmers market in Sun City on Saturdays, Menifee Trading Post the third Friday at Mercado del Sol, and then Foodie Friday, first Friday between May and October in Central Park. Next slide, please. In addition to the private development projects, I wanted to take an opportunity to highlight some of the special projects that the Community Development Department manages. One of those is creating a set of permit-ready accessory dwelling unit plans for the residents here in the community. So if you are looking to construct an accessory dwelling unit on your property, the city has put together plans that are ready for building permits. We should have those plans ready for use later in the month of May. So stay tuned for that. I mentioned earlier that community development includes community development block grants. And as part of that program, we provide grants for minor home repairs for seniors. We also have grants available to assist those that have been hit by the pandemic and provide mortgage and rental relief. Information on both of those grant programs can be found on our website. And then coming soon, we have created a program that would provide down payment assistance grants for home buyers. So that program also, you will be able to find information about that once it's rolled out on our website. Next slide, please. And while I have everyone's attention, just a quick plug on the importance of safe construction and a reminder that permits are required and they help ensure that your property values are protected, that your home is safe. So if you are looking to do an addition or a remodel, add a patio cover or a pool, make sure that your contractor comes in and secures the necessary permits. And if you ever have any questions on that, please come down to our offices, call us, or look at our virtual City Hall services on our website. Next slide, please. And I wanted to conclude that all of these development projects that I've highlighted tonight, in addition to all of the other ones that we're currently processing, additional information can be found on our website under City Maps. We have an awesome interactive GIS map on our website where you can click on each of these projects and get information on them. We also have the ability to have you submit permits through our website. And then if you ever wanted to look at our general plan, zoning code, or learn more about community development or new projects in the city, all of that is on the city's website under the Community Development Department. Next slide, please. So that concludes my presentation for tonight. I want to thank you all for listening, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Cheryl. That was a great presentation. We would welcome questions from our public that are here with us, and those that are, again, joining via YouTube can post their comments through the comments section, and then we did receive a few questions ahead of time, which we'll address closer to the end of the presentation. So I'll open the floor.
Do we have any questions from people that are here? I know you want to ask a question. Okay, well, let's put that on pause. But I really want to hear before we lose Cheryl. A lot of the questions you may have about development, as I said earlier, you may see only one type of project being built right now, but planning and building and engineering, they've been working really hard for the past 2 years to process a whole bunch of the other supporting developments. I say supporting because we want to make sure that when you move into Menifee, you don't go to another city to go shop and spend your money. We want you to spend your money and have all the recreational opportunities here in Menifee. So we're working really hard to make sure that we bring all those restaurants, we build all those parks, and we give you all that entertainment that you're going to need, so you don't have to go anywhere else to spend your hard-earned money. Spend it in Menifee, because you benefit the city of Menifee when you do that. We will see a great deal of development over the next 2 years, barring an economic collapse, which we don't expect that to happen. We will see a lot of development still taking place, but I want to reassure you that all these projects that are being built or planned, we are working really hard to make sure that all those projects mitigate the impacts they're creating, primarily traffic. We have a very extensive planning process that requires traffic studies to be submitted for every project, and every project that gets built, they have to build their share of mitigation for roads, for infrastructure and things like that. So we have an exceptional team of planners and engineers that are working behind the scenes to make sure all these plans are built and that are sustainable, to make sure that we stay in front of the impacts of growth, primarily traffic. As you can see, our city council has already made a pledge to our community, and they've invested, and they will be investing over $500 million worth of infrastructure. Many of you came to the CIP workshop, and you saw how many plans, how many projects were being planned. Primarily, most of them have been to mitigate the impacts of traffic. We're about to, late this summer, begin the construction of Holland Road. We just finished Scott Road a couple of years ago. And after Holland Road, we will start the construction and the planning for McCall expansion. So we're not stopping there. We are working really hard to make sure that our developers, the ones that want to be here and build here, mitigate traffic impacts, and also working on the city side to make sure that we invest some of those state and federal monies and general fund monies that we have to make sure that we build the necessary road networks and repair the roads that we have now, so that ultimately in the next 3, 4, 5 years from now, you guys don't have to worry so much about traffic. Anyway, so I want to open it up for questions. I know that, and I was very happy to see that over the last couple of days, as we went on social media and advertised this meeting today, that we got a whole bunch of questions from the audience. I don't know, I think we had over 25 questions that were submitted, so I appreciate the level of input that the community is having. And the questions, a lot of those are very good questions. So if you don't have any questions here today or right now, I'd like Rebecca to help us read some of those questions that came in online, and then maybe you provide some. Oh, you have a question, Michael Knighton.
Can I get a copy of that PowerPoint?
Sure, you can get a copy of that.
Email it to me?
We can email it to you, and I think we can take down your. We have your email, so. So, any other questions, Michael? Okay. So, Rebecca, will you do us a favor of reading those questions that came in through online?
Steal your microphone. So, yes, absolutely. So we received several questions pertaining to what the city is doing to attract more entertainment venues, as well as specialty markets and large retailers. So given that, I'd like to turn to our Director of Economic Development, Gina, to tell us a little bit about what the city is doing to providing an overview of what's being done to address these needs.
Thank you very much. Well, I just would like to add that our team has been working on a very robust plan for quite some time. We did have a couple entertainment venues that unfortunately was hit by the pandemic and was affected, just like other communities across the nation. So right now, it's a little bit difficult for banks to invest in entertainment venues. There's still not everybody has recovered from the pandemic, believe it or not. A lot of us are ready to go and do things. Trust me, I'm one of them. But just the market isn't quite just there yet. Just same with office development. But during COVID, which has been really wild and rampant, was the industrial stuff. And then we've also been working on really trying to get office development going because overall we have a very robust demand here, unlike some of the other communities that have an overabundance of supply. When it comes to retail uses, the retail market isn't exactly there. There's a couple external things that are affecting that. From COVID, from the retailers not coming back 100% yet. Some of the brokers just coming back from being furloughed. They actually were laid off and now they're coming back. In addition to that, online sales are starting to affect maybe the size of what the retailers that we traditionally would shop at, what they're looking at. They're trying to downsize. You can see that across the board. For instance, like with Sprouts used to be much larger. They're condensing their spaces. Barnes & Nobles used to be much larger. They're condensing their spaces. You're starting to see their response to a lot of the community's online shopping habits. So, what does that mean for Menifee? So what that means for Menifee is we're working really hard with our property owners in trying to encourage the type of shopping that is growing, is expanding, and trying to encourage that here in Menifee. Can't really talk about it, but there's a couple uses that Menifee will really be happy about, but it does take some time from start to finish to where they do end up submitting to our community development department. But we have a pretty great plan in place working on studies to really encourage that and using data to back it up. Just to point it out, I wish I had some infill like some of our neighboring cities. Menifee's vacancy rate is 1.8%, and Temecula is 11.8%, and Marietta is 12.9%. So Menifee has the demand, is what that tells us. So that's great news for when we're trying to encourage development here locally. In addition, our population demand is 1.1 million in a 20-minute radius compared to our neighboring cities, which is about 800,000, 740,000. So what that shows is that Menifee has it going on, and we're really encouraging to tell that story so that you and I have somewhere to shop.
Thank you, Gina. So we'd had another follow-up question on that. If you could provide us with some information about what the city is doing to assist startup businesses.
This one's my favorite. So we have a great program. We have the B3 program, which is Building Better Businesses. And within that umbrella program, we have partnerships with the Small Business Development Center. We do house them here at City Hall. They provide one-on-one counseling from business plans to financing information, marketing, from start to finish to opening up somewhere smaller, local. They really are a one-stop shop for that. And we actually house them here at City Hall, unlike some of other cities. We also hold workshops to help kind of connect them and walk them through the process of developing their business. In addition, we also co-collaborate in Southwest Riverside County on Angel Investor Series about providing the financing to grow their business and invest in their overall startup. I'm really excited about this, hopefully with the council's approval, will be our feasibility study for an incubator, which is the first step of creating a co-op incubator for startups to house their business. In addition, we host Shark Tank investment series for startups to aid them in investing in their idea to grow it. And then lastly, we've been working on, once they have a particular concept in mind, it's finding them a location. And so besides the office development side of things, we've been working with a lot of our local developers and landowners to really encourage the type of incubator industrial space that is needed for them, from very small space from 1,000 square feet and up. So we're excited about that, much like what Cheryl talked about with Freedom Business Park. And then we also have another one to the north of the city that is trying to process some plans and get that going, but it's much smaller space, right around 1,000. And why I bring that up, it's extremely important that when you have just a concept, the next step is, where do I go? And so they can't necessarily afford something that's 10,000 square feet, but they need that smaller space to get in, start growing, manufacturing, create things, and then expand from there. I know it's a whole subject in itself. I can go on, but I'll stop.
Thank you, Gina. You can see Gina's team's been very busy, as has community development and all of our other divisions. The next couple of questions I'm going to refer to our community services department. Cheryl talked about some of the assistance programs that we have under our community development block grant program for housing. But I'd like to refer, we received a couple of questions about financial assistance programs that are in place to assist residents. So I'd like to turn over to Jonathan to talk a little bit about what community services offers in addition to what Cheryl had spoken about.
Good afternoon, everyone. Over at the KC Senior Center, that's on Evans and Newport, we do have some programs available for more mature adults, older adults. We have a lunch that's provided every day. And actually, earlier today, we provided food boxes to folks that needed food. It's a box that provides about 2 weeks worth of groceries and produce. We distribute that monthly on the fourth Thursday of the month over at La Ladera Park. So if you need any more information on that, you can see me afterwards, or feel free to call Community Services or email me directly. Also at the KC Senior Center, we have a job assistance program working with the county. That's available to anyone. So it's every Monday and Thursday afternoon. You can come down to the KC Center if anyone's looking for a job, needs resume assistance. We have a computer workstation there that we were able to revitalize using some grant funds and with help from the county.
Thank you, Jonathan. So from our YouTube channel, we received another question that I will refer to you that is pertaining to what is happening relative to park development, specifically sports parks venues for families to be able to utilize. So maybe you can talk a little bit about what parks we have upcoming and what's happening with the Parks Master Plan.
We actually opened a new sports park and added lighting to the Centennial Park. It's a 10-acre park in the Centennial community. That's on the northeast side of town. It's right off of Holland and Briggs. So that's in that new community by Party Homes over there. Under construction on the northeast side of town, on the Underwood development, which by KB Homes, there's another 10-acre sports park being built right now. We're anticipating that sports park to be open sometime early next year. And then the city's actually going through a refresh of our Parks Master Plan. So over the next couple months, we're going to be reaching out to the community. We hope that everyone here also participates in that. We're going to be sending out community surveys. We're going to do some direct mail. There's going to be online surveys, and we're going to have community workshops just like this one, where people can come in and provide us information on what they would like to see as far as parks, sports parks, amenities, trails throughout the community as we continue to grow.
Thank you, Jonathan. Did anyone else in our audience have any other questions for us today? Yeah? Okay.
Hi, my name is June Conant. I live in Sun City, and I do have a yard that has a lot of greenery, and I do appreciate the fact that we can separate that now. I called Waste Management because on the top of the tub, it tells pretty much what you can put in there, and it says fresh fruit and vegetables are okay. And of course, I have an orange tree that drops stuff, so I've been throwing those in there. But I called to ask about things like avocado pits and things like that. Is that okay? And I called Waste Management. I said, is there some way I can get a little more definitive list as what's okay to put in there or not? And they told me I had to talk to the city, that it wasn't their responsibility to give me a list.
We have it on our website. I can send you some more information, but basically it's any kind of organic food waste. So even like eggshells, cheese, old sandwiches, things like that. Pretty much anything that's food waste you can put in there. So avocado pit, yes, you can put it in there. But we have a little flyer that kind of details that out. I can connect with you and provide it to you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Did we have any other questions? No? All right. Well, did we have one more? Oh, sorry.
Mine isn't on what June had. I'm Jack Corlett from Sun City. And what I'm wondering, I have been hearing that we're going to have Bradley Road elevated so that we don't have the water problem. We've been hearing this since 2000. And so I'm just wondering, when are we going to get that road finished? We've been promised it, said we had almost all the money to do it.
Sorry, pushing the wrong button over here. Yes, we are actually in the design process for that project. We are about 95% complete with the design, so we're very close to that finished product. We did just receive notice that we received a $5 million grant from a federal grant, which requires us to update our environmental documents. So we're working on that process. We're trying to accelerate it and find ways to streamline it. We actually met with Congressman Calvert last week and asked for his help because he was also helped the city gain the $5 million grant. So our intent is to put that project out as soon as we have the environmental clearance. It will take us a few months. We're anticipating hopefully by early next year that we'll be able to obtain those grants. The project obtain the environmental documents. We will have the project designed within the next couple months. It's just that we have to step back and redo our environmental document to make sure that we can secure that $5 million and not risk it.
So what is your ETA then?
So we're anticipating going out to bid early next year. So I would say February, March, and then it's a good 15, 16 month project.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. I'm Debbie Gable from Sun City, and I wasn't going to ask anything today, but as a follow-up to what you just said, we've done a lot of redo on this Bradley thing. And now that we have that wonderful little bicycle trail going through, we got to redo that. We have to redo the documents. How much is all this costing us to redo all this stuff? You know, and also I understand that it's going to put the timeline out farther. But, I mean, seriously, this has got to be costing us big bucks to keep redoing the same thing that we've already done.
So you're correct. It does add cost to the project. It's not that we are redoing documents. We prepared a CEQA document, which is a California Environmental Quality Act process. That's the California version of an environmental document, and that assumes that you're not using any federal funds. And then we have the NEPA, which is a National Environmental Protection Agency or Act document. So we're not redoing a document, we are expanding on what we've already done. However, you are correct, it is costing us more money, but it's a fraction of the additional federal funds that we are able to get. So by getting the $5 million of federal funds, we might have to spend $350,000, but we're able to take $5 million of local dollars and use it somewhere else within our city so we can improve other areas. So we're leveraging federal funds at a fraction of the cost. It does take some additional time, but I think the community would appreciate being able to spread our own resources, our local dollars to other projects, just for a few months delay. But the bike path, yeah, we did have to redo that because the county did come in after we designed it. Everything was designed, and then the bike path came in. We had no control of that, so we do have to raise the bike path elevation up to meet the new bridge, which is approximately 8 feet higher than what it exists today. So we do have to reroute the bike path up on higher elevations so it would not be within the water embankment during those flood periods.
So Menifee has to do that, not the county, who did it in the first place, in the wrong way?
That's correct, yes, because it's our project. Yeah. I mean, there was no way. They had a specific time that they had to spend their federal funding or state funding, whatever program that they used to build the bike path, to complete it. It had a time lapse on it. So they had to have it completed, and they could not build the bike path up in the air because the roadway wasn't up there yet. So it was, yes, it's kind of a chicken and egg thing, but yeah.
Thank you, Nick. I just wanted to, I don't see any more questions, and I think we pretty much covered most of the questions that came in. We did have a lot of questions, but a lot of those questions were the same question asked differently. So I'm pretty sure we covered those questions. And if you have any more questions that, for those of you that are home, feel free to email those questions to us. You know, we are going to change the makeup of our chats to the city manager meetings a little bit. One of the suggestions that was made to me by a couple of residents was to take the show on the road. And I think we're gonna start looking for facilities to go out and meet the community in their area, in their HOA, and we're gonna change the format a little bit, and we hope to start doing that perhaps with the June meeting. And with that, I want to remind you guys that we have another chat with the city manager coming up in May. It'll be here at City Hall at 5 p.m. And the subject will be on all the projects that Nick was talking about, all the public works projects. You know, today you got an overview of all the projects that are privately being proposed by developers. What we're proposing to do next month is to be able to give you an update on all the projects that we as a city are building to improve our city's infrastructure. And I also want to remind you that if you have the time, and I know you are all involved in community affairs, to join us next week as we meet with our city council at Wednesday at, I think it's 3 p.m. 3 p.m. We are going to be giving the council an opportunity to overview the proposed budget for next fiscal year. And that will include also a presentation on the capital improvement program budget that's being requested for next fiscal year. So we have a very interesting presentation for you guys next week. So I invite you guys to participate and then let your council members know how you feel about that budget proposal. May 26th. 5 o'clock. And that will be here at the city council chambers. When we go on the road, that'll start in June. So, and we'll put information out as soon as we select a site. And again, the objective is to be able to go out on the road and go to different HOA community halls and things like that, so that it is easier for you guys to attend. Some of those that are home that can't drive or don't want to drive, then we'll be able to meet you there. So unless you look like you have a question. You want to ask a question? No questions. I have a comment. A comment? Go ahead. But let me give you a microphone for those of us that are online.
Testing. Hi. Hi, my name is Vicki Valenzuela. I'm with Compass Danby. We're actually a small developer that are seeking a few opportunities up in the Northern Gateway area of the city. And I just wanted to comment on your staff. You have an amazing staff. We've been working with Cheryl and your economic development director and fire and planning, and everyone has been just really responsive, very focused, very just enthusiastic about what's happening in the city, and it's very refreshing. So I really appreciate you having this type of forum. It's not typical of other cities, so you're doing it right. I just wanted to thank you for having us. Yeah.
You just made my whole year. Thank you so much for that. And thank you all for coming. Thank you all at home viewing this. So with that, this wraps up our presentation. Thank you.
That was really good.